So welcome everybody to this quick session interviewing Mr. Joe Pinheiro, a longtime supporter of shelter movers, a very successful business person in Canada, particularly in the mortgage industry. Welcome, Joe. Thanks for having us.
And thank you so much, Mark. It's a pleasure to be here.
So, Joe, the interviews, as you know, that we have with some of our supporters really revolves around their motivations and their interests. And maybe you can tell us a little bit about you and tell us about why Shelter Movers is a charity of interest to you.
Always personally, I thought it was a very wonderful charity, but it's even a greater interest to the Mortgage Professional of Canada's foundation. It's one of the charities of choice that we want to support. And there's a couple of reasons why it really matters to an association like ours. Our association is about helping Canadians and speaking on behalf of mortgage brokers, helping the mortgage broker industry provide Canadians with the vast, a variety of choice and options when it comes to getting their mortgage. We're a national organization and a national association and a foundation that works nationally. And having an organization that also speaks to housing needs and the concerns of Canadians nationally, I think that first and foremost was important to us when we look at the charities to get behind. And look, we help Canadians get housing, and housing matters to us and our associations as it matters to most Canadians. And affordable housing and so forth are concerns that matter, and absolutely safe housing really matters to us. So we believe it's a great charity that deals with issues of providing safe housing, and we think this just fits right into what a part of our mandate as an association actually. When it comes to housing people, we believe in helping families, and some families are in different situations in their life than other families. And these families should be a concern of ours as well.
Housing in Canada certainly is a really hot topic, a few different ways, and certainly Shelter Movers is a piece of that puzzle, although we don't find any housing. Our clients do that. I guess if anyone can appreciate the importance of a safe home, it would be you and your colleagues. That really sounds like a very central piece of what you do.
Yeah, absolutely. And it really tugs at the hearts of a lot of our members as well, because this is a personal issue to them as well. And it's a very local issue as well, which really matters. And we expect to gain more support with our members. So we have 11,000 members approximately. It probably could be maybe 12,000 members across Canada. And we believe this is going to be something that's going to speak to them as well. I think, first of all, it's really a local level, because of the 11,000 members we have, we're pretty much equal female and males. Like, females do extremely well in our profession, maybe probably even better. I'm saying this out loud here, but I believe it to be true actually. And they tend to be a little bit closer to families that are having issues as well. So I think this really is going to tug at their heartstrings and be relevant in their day-to-day business. Okay, because again, they're helping families get home, but at the other side, they know families that are having troubles at home. So being able to help those people as well, I think is going to resonate. The early conversations that we've had with mortgage professionals, particularly in Halifax, I think last year, there was a great presentation that was made to WIMI, which is Women in the Mortgage Industry Group. And the messages that I received was, overwhelmingly supportive. And they were so excited to know that an entity like Shelter Movers exists to help those people. And that was the thing that I thought was really fascinating, is how everybody said, why didn't somebody think of this before? This is such a great cause and such a great importance. And I find as well, the women in our industry, they see it more, they understand it more. And I think for a lot of men, we don't really hear much about it, to be quite honestly. It seems like the women tend to hear more about it. So I think it's really going to resonate well with the industry and our members.
It's interesting you say that. Shelter Movers is very similar. Many women in our organization at the most senior levels, but we do have a lot of guys. And maybe you're a man, I'm a man. What does this mean for you as a man? And what do you think your male identifying mortgage professionals will feel in terms of their role in this partnership?
We're brothers. We're fathers. I have two daughters. Okay, having a safe home, my neighbors living in a safe home matters to me as a man. And I think this isn't a women problem. And let's face it, men are by far the most, and I'm sure you can back me up on this, are the ones that cause most of the violence and most of the abuse. It is what it is. And I think men would be shocked to see that it happens as often. And I think it's, they don't want to live in a community where they know things like this happen far more often than they want to. So it's not a women issue, it's a society issue. And everybody wants to live in a nice community with nice neighbors and help our neighbors out. And again, and I know you probably share some statistics or have along the way. It's amazing how often this happens. And I was surprised at the number of incidents and the number of people that you help. So I think we have a socially responsible duty to first understand that there's a problem. And I think once men understand it and how prevalent it is, they're going to want to jump in first and say, no, I'm not going to allow this to happen in my community. I'm going to do what I can to help these families. And these families include young children in a lot of cases. And these young children should be growing up in a society that's not prone to, where, the first 10 years of their life, all they see is violence. They should not live in that type of a society. And it doesn't help the men and boys, the boys and girls of the future as well.
Yeah, a really good point. We've seen that a lot at Shelter Movers. So the latest data, to your earlier point, is that a woman or a girl is killed every 3 days in Canada.
Yeah, that's unbelievable.
And that really spurred us on at the founding moments of the organization to realize, just as you said, it's completely unacceptable. There is a solution to this complex problem if we can get the whole community involved, men and women. It's really a great example, I think, for our partners and folks across Canada, that what you're doing is sort of bringing men and women together around this solution, which is really nice. And it's nice to have your leadership on that. We certainly appreciate that. The support that that mortgage professionals provide to customers, can often be very personal. I think, as you said, they're in the homes, they're talking to them, they're hearing and they're seeing things. What do you? What's the guidance that we give mortgage professionals when they sort of encounter situations that are a little off, or if a mortgage professional feels that they're uncomfortable, or they've observed something that's just not right?
Well, and again, that's a really good question, and this is what I would do, and I hope it's the right answer. And if it's not, I hope you tell me you could do something different. But first of all, you have to make sure that the family, and I'll say the women in this case, does not suffer in silence. That she has to speak up, that she has to speak to the authorities, that her situation is not the final situation or the final destination, that there is hope, there is ways to get out of this. And I think they just have to be told, there is help there, okay? And let's get you the help. And obviously, I would imagine the first call would probably be to a local authority, as well as a social worker, which I believe they in turn will engage your services. Or maybe they can search you out right away. But I think the first thing is don't live in silence. Speak up. This is not a normal behavior. This is not something that's probably going to change tomorrow. The male, I'll just say the male in this case, might need professional help himself. But you can't live in silence any longer. You don't have to live this way.
That's exactly right, Joe. That's how Shelter Movers gets its referrals. So we take calls primarily, as you know, from women's shelters or the police, but we do get calls periodically from survivors themselves. And usually our first question is, who are you working with? Do you have a safe place to go? And then once they do that, we usually get in touch with that organization, and off we go. And I think from a different perspective than mortgage professionals, but I'm sure your colleagues need to respond usually pretty quickly for an opportunity when they have a chance to work with somebody. And in a similar vein, I think Shelter Movers does as well. We need to be able to answer pretty fast, especially given the risk or the opportunity to help her and her children flee safely. I appreciate your time today. I have one last question just about your thoughts on sort of in this COVID world. What the mortgage industry and the housing industry, what are some of the trends that you're seeing in terms of affordability and the opportunity to pick up and just move during a pandemic? Is there any thoughts on that you'd like to share?
Well, from two aspects. First of all, the mortgage industry seems to be still booming, to be quite honest. And there's still a lot of people looking to buy their own first home and get into their home. Immigration is still a big factor in Canada. And what we're finding is, this concept of people having to live where they work might not hold true in the next 10 to 20 years, because it seems now people are getting used to finding ways to work at home. So I think that's going to be interesting to see how it evolves. There are some people in a situation of hurt right now due to COVID and unemployment situations and maintaining their mortgage. The government, of course, has stepped in. That will be interested to see how that plays itself out over the next few months. as this program, the deferral program, is supposed to be ending the end of September. Haven't heard any news. As it relates to families living in together, and I'm not sure exactly where I heard this, and it might have been from shelter movers themselves. Probably a higher chance of more incidents of abuse and violence in the home, either because of money pressures, probably can escalate matters, as well as the fact that everybody's kind of together. So there's more stresses and more pressure. And if there was a problem before, but the spouse was able to leave 8 hours a day and go to work, and now she has to stay home, there's heightened concerns. And my sense is that there's probably a greater need for shelter movers probably now than at any time. And a lot of it might have to do with that reason, because we know pressure and stress causes bad situations, and can cause worse situations in an already bad situation. So,
well said. Well said. That's exactly what we've observed. The number of calls has increased quite significantly since the pandemic, from about 55 families a month to 99 families this past August 2020. So you're exactly right. I think the trend will continue to increase, and should a second wave hit us in the fall or winter, we anticipate another surge, during that time as well. So your support and the support of Mortgage Professionals Canada Foundation has been amazing, and I really appreciate your time today. Thank you very much, Joe.
Thanks so much, and we look forward to working with you and continuing the support on a very well-worthy cause, and one that really matters to us. So thank you very much, Mark.